I had to do a quick unloading of the SD card, and we're back because I'm using the small one because I ran out of space on everything. So, okay, kind of wrapped up on that video pretty much. So I can close out of that one. And then another thing that I want to say, no one should be canceled. Like, or sorry, I was reading something about Jenny Slate, people wanting her to be canceled. I was reading like comments or so, and that you should be canceled. Blah blah blah. The cast and crew at this point is completely innocent until proven of any kind of guilt on any side of it. Either way, they were just acting on what they knew. Whether they were told that information or witnessed that information, we don't know anything right now. It could be that they completely lied to them and made them believe a complete lie. It could be that they saw something. We don't know. We don't know. And these people are also, well, first of all, they're people, and they're clearly not speaking out. They're probably not speaking out for a number of reasons. Let's lay off of them because I feel like even with Colleen Hoover, I feel like the pressure to get them to make any kind of statement or change their mind, we don't know so much still. And more than that, they don't owe us anything. They didn't do any lawsuit. They probably are like, I don't want to be involved in this. Just like Taylor Swift, like, why am I getting pulled into this? I don't want anything to do with this. And that's their right. And also, again, this lawsuit is between the people mentioned in these lawsuits. That's it. And even they shouldn't be attacked, but those people are the people that are bringing things forward. The people that are the people that we should talk about and so forth, not people that are adjacent to them that maybe sided with one or the other. No, I thought that was pretty kind of wrong out there. I personally feel like even this was my initial thought with Liz, and now that I know there's a little bit more involvement with her and with Blake and Ryan, I have no idea. I don't even have hypotheses right now, but like I wonder if it's not just trying to be on the right side and believing a woman, like a lot of us did at the beginning, and until we saw proof otherwise. And I personally am still open minded because a lot of the proof is still hopefully yet to come. I don't know if we'll get to see it or not, and it's there's so much dependent on proof that hasn't come out yet. The intimacy coordinator thing is a big one, but I think they're so scared of being dragged into this, and I think even Justin and maybe both sides, if Justin is telling the truth or is telling his truth in what he claims, and um, if he is as moral and good as even his attorney that was once against him for another lawsuit found him to be, and having this high moral high ground, um, moral high ground, then he probably doesn't want to get these people roped into it as evidence, you know, besides maybe showing that they're on set with a clip, but he probably doesn't want to, cost these people their livelihoods and get them dragged into something by the public or by Blake and Ryan, if this would be the case, that would be damaging to them and their life and their career and so forth and livelihoods, like income and stuff and being able to work again and all. So, like, that's very touchy. But yeah, of course, like, I'm on the side of, like, I hope everyone would come out and speak their side, I'm like, tell us your experience. There's also a video of Brendan Sklenar talking very highly about Justin Baldoni as being the director and also recognizing, like, wow, amazing, like, being the director and his character at the same time. Unlike the clip of Jenny Slay that maybe had a little different undertone, Brendan's had just a really regular, really good undertone. Like, I didn't see anything there that was like, oh, subtext. Not that it couldn't be. The other part that I found out from the Dana Live is that, or Dana Live, was that Brandon Sklenar is or worked with Paul Feig after It Ends With Us. Paul Feig being the director of A Simple A Simple Flavor, the sequel, and I didn't know this was. I saw this like trailer pump up, and I don't really. I don't know. It looked not my movie, but The Housemaid, and I guess it's been filmed, maybe. Where is it filming? No, I think it was. I don't know. Anyways, so that was an interesting thing, Again, so like, it's not even that you want to side with Blake just because of the connection and the power, but she could have been very compelling in her side of things. And it might be because she's telling the truth. It might be because she's telling her version of what she interpreted, and that's her truth. It might be that she's just very convincing and playing this game of just like getting away with whatever, just like going after people. Like, those are three different possibilities right there, and there's probably even more, because life is crazier than what we can imagine. So yeah, but he does say that. He does say very nice things about Blake, about Justin, as far as like directing and playing the character. So please keep in mind, be mindful of all of that. Again, like, I think this is, what I think this whole lawsuit and whole thing is awesome in. It's that it's definitely challenging us to critically think and think for ourselves, because clearly we have seen for quite a while now how media people that have a lot of money, all the people that have a lot of money, all the people that have a lot of money, have the power and the choice, opportunity, if they so wish to take it, to convince us of what they want us to believe in any kind of way, and to you know, sway us, manipulate us, whichever word you want to use or other words, into their direction, into what they want us to go to into. And growing up outside of the US for a little bit, I definitely have that like extra critical thinking part of my brain, where it's also like against authority, like don't trust authority. And I think that's like highly important. I wonder if that's why I don't get quite swayed that fast. Um, or sometimes I don't, sometimes I do, depending, if it's something that's like triggering, or I haven't worked through enough even to have awareness of, then I'll just like, whoop, yep, I just go right with it. I don't know. But I think that it's an important thing. Anyone who presents themselves an authority and who has that power, whether it's monetary or whatever, connections, etc., then be wary. Be wary. And always, at the end of the day, if you're able to, and try your hardest to, make up your own mind, seek information and seek facts as much as possible. Seek information that is not like disproven, like a screenshot or like a text message chain or whatever. Like, it's right there. Especially if it's like in the whole context, it's. I also go into how people say so many times, you can't tell me she wasn't in love with him. I've seen this comment over and over and over again everywhere. And this actually came from a YouTube video that I saw someone say this, a compilation of other videos, and I don't see it, especially in that clip in the footage, in the behind the scenes footage that we saw. I don't see that. I don't see that. When she's like giggling, it's about her husband. Like, I feel like, can we acknowledge at least that when she's giggling, people make it seem like, oh, she's putting her hand on. They were also trying to do that scene where that's what it was about, these two people. But even so, it was about her husband. They were talking about how they can't stop talking, and like literally Justin told her, "I think you guys are cute." She was giggling about that. She was giggling about like her relationship with her husband. So that one especially, I would push back strongly on. I don't know other moments. I didn't see flirting or like that like bashful crush or whatever. I didn't see that, but it could be. We also will never really know unless we see a text message, her saying that, clearly to someone. But like, even then, like, we really don't know what's in her heart and all that. But I didn't see that. And also, this chemistry people are talking about, I don't know where it is. I don't know where this chemistry is. Please let me know. Justin and Gina had chemistry. I remember that was so hard. That was a hard triangle. Oh my gosh, you couldn't decide. Oh, that was so hard, especially as they evolved. Oh gosh, what was his name? Rafael. Yeah, especially as they evolved Rafael's character. It was like, oh, that's so hard. He's like, look at him. He's so nice and so loving and loves her so much. Yeah, it was hard. I didn't see chemistry from Blake. She is herself in many things that she's done. Like, I don't see anything, and I see that in every role, in interviews everywhere. She has this wall up. So this uncomfortable thing because of potential SH. At this moment, I'm pushing back on hard on that too. Like, we see her uncomfortable pretty much all the time, and she like jokes it off with like very inappropriate jokes most of the time or half of the time, and all this stuff. But like, and she talks about how uncomfortable she is in general. She's even talked about how basically she can't act. She says she can't act without being also the producer, so you can't act. Yeah, like, she literally talks about how like you can't put her in any movie, in any type of movie, any type of clothing, any type of, give her any type of lines to say. She can't just do that. I'm like, I have to like find that clip, because that's exact, like, literally that is the definition of acting. Is you're living truthfully in imaginary circumstances. Meisner's trained in me, but or not truthfully or whatever. But you're living in these imaginary circumstances. You're putting yourself in these. So the wardrobe that they give you, because she talks about finding herself in her character through wardrobe, but freaking, it was your clothes. And maybe, I'm really sure that it was clothes that she was paid to promote. That Louboutin, like, hey, if you have these shoes, we'll give you this money. Just casually. Didn't even have to be a contract. Because they're at that level, I feel like. And so, if you truly felt that way, that, because actresses have spoken about that, especially actresses, I've heard. No, actors too. Like, you get those prosthetics on, or you get the wardrobe on, and that's how you feel like you're transported into this character. uh, but it's not ever their choice of wardrobe. It's what they're being given, and that's what makes them be transported in that character. The other thing that was interesting, oh yeah, so this I think was the same video maybe, or another, the one that she talks about the intimacy coordination that she didn't do. She talks about the way she gets into a character is their style. So it sounds like she created a different character that she had in her mind as Lily. Yeah, this was before the intimacy coordinator part. They asked Brendan Sklenar, uh, how did you guys manage to fall in love on screen or whatever? Um, Basically like a chemistry question, like how did you develop the chemistry with each other? And he says, I couldn't tell you. And he looks at her. I think that was a joke. I don't think that was like I just didn't want to be there. I don't think so. The person that posted that clip that I've seen of that moment said like an FML next to his face. I don't think so. I think that was a joke. Um, but Blake took it kind of for real too, and said, "Well, you could tell her. You could say really nice things about me." That's a quote. I wrote that one down. So he clearly was joking. Yes, he was serious, all that stuff, whatever. But she jokes that same way, or I don't know. Her Ryan does too, her husband, and all of these. So, um, but maybe she knows those are not jokes from Ryan. I don't know. But yeah, like, either way, her response, like, no, you could tell her, and I know how she emphasized could. Um, I'm not a body language expert over here, but that stood out to me. I felt something when she did that. And then you could say really nice things about me. Can validation validate me, and validate me to them, make them believe I'm really awesome. That stood out. Okay. I do have that video where Justin is or with like victims and survivors around the table or in this room, and they have the script and they're going through it and talks about how that process was. And I wrote, what the heck? If we have this, what did she do to this movie? She bastardized this movie. Is that a weird word to use? And I wrote, meanwhile, she comes in and changes everything. She ruined this movie. She screwed this movie over and herself really big time now, too. So the last thing was, sorry, pre last thing, I think I mentioned it already, though, the whole Ryan thing, was uncomfortable because Ryan would be jealous, would be uncomfortable with her doing that, etc. Which, sometimes that's like also valid if you have those boundaries with your significant others. Again, they're both actors. They've been actors long before they met, even. And so I think that would be unreasonable and that you would know. But she has that history where she falls for her co stars. And even if she didn't fall for anyone here, it could be that that's just like in Ryan's head. And again, but then don't take this role if that's kind of going to cause marital problems or personal internal problems or anything like that. But yeah, apparently Ryan is very controlling and jealous and something else that people say. There's like three words that people say. And yeah, we see that over and over again too. I hope it's okay over there. So this final thing is Brenda Sklenar talks about how Blake Lively is a drug. You get high when you're around her. I had a couple of things talking in relation to that. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. A lot of people can feel that way to a lot of people for a number of reasons. We don't know how he meant it, even, and how his nervous system, I literally wrote this, how his nervous system processed that in that specific way that he said that. And also, you're acting, you're in that character, depending, and they had like good scenes, right? They were like good people on screen. There was no villain and non-villain in between them two. But yeah, was it because she was just so genuine and nice and effervescent? She is effervescent, and she's talked about that. You can sure see that. Or was it because she's charismatic to that level of, it should be a red flag? Why? It was just so interesting, his choice of words, right? That you get high when you're around her. She's like a drug. It makes me think like she can get away with anything, and I'm not saying that in like a certain way, but except for the way of like she has that charisma, and in Romanian would be te vrăjește. Like she puts a spell on you, because she's that charismatic. Food for thought. Like I said, this I should name my channel Food for Thought. So yeah, these are the things so far, and I don't think any news has come about since then. I don't know right now that much. There's some things like Justin's camp speaking out about the gag order. Yeah, so far I don't see too much. I'm sure there's stuff out there, but these are my today daily food for thoughts around this whole crazy messy case. But I do think this is a very important moment, and it's really asking us to critically think and question our biases and question the lenses that we view things through. And it can feel very comfortable whichever side you're on. It can be like, oh, this feels comfortable though, I like sitting here. And you might not want to question that. I know it's hard. I kind of swing I've been feeling like I've swung with this case because initially I was kind of team him. I wasn't really team anyone. I didn't think she was like, you know, terrible. I didn't think he was amazing. I just thought, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I wonder what's happened there. And then her complaint swung me towards her, like, oh wow, like she has to be telling the truth, and that sounds like he was a terrible person. And it was like, but it doesn't match with the person that I know. But also that happens a lot in these cases. So yeah. And then when he released the New York Times, I swung closer to the middle. I was kind of in the middle because I didn't see anything convincing, especially as far as like the SH stuff. I didn't see anything convincing on that note from the New York Times article or the New York Times suit from him to New York Times. And then when he released his highly anticipated lawsuit, that kind of swung me, I would say 80%. And then as this footage came out and conversations that I've had and things have been coming out and I've heard so many different angles and so many different things on YouTube. I like YouTube and I like that over articles because words you can sort of interpret in different ways to a certain extent. And also it's like kind of harder for me to read and focus that well on reading. Meanwhile, when people are speaking, you can hear their tone of voice, and we are meant to communicate that way for a reason because our brain is processing more data than we consciously realize. And so that's like the gut instinct and all that stuff and why we have impressions of things. But it's also having its own filters. So yeah, but when someone's speaking to you, the filters that you have are a lot weaker, I would say, unless you're like speaking at each other and you're heated, like a relationship argument or like a political argument or whatever, and it's like beyond that point. But to a like when you're starting out and stuff, like it is when you're like actually hearing the tone of voice, and especially when you're not in conversation but you're listening to someone's video that is not present there for with you, and so you're not feeling pressure to react or defend. I think that's like so important. So that's why I do it this way. And yeah, like I feel like now I'm 95 to 98% just believing him and him only. But I'm not 100%. I'm not someone who's going to be like, no, she's definitely lying and she's a terrible person and all this stuff. I'm putting food for thought. I'm putting out there food for thought. And I'm putting out there, like, this is what this looks like to me. But I don't think you'll hear, I don't know. It infuriates my friends and people that like I have conversations with around kind of not celebrity topics, but these like debatable topics. It infuriates them because I'm not like that. I kind of like sway, and I think people don't understand how to take that, and it's also very hard because the angle keeps moving, when in a camera angle, like suddenly you're like facing this way and suddenly you're facing that way or that way, because I'm like, I feel like I embrace the complexity and the kaleidoscope of opinions. When we have an opinion, it can be different depending on the angle of what you're looking at is, and those angles all can coexist together. Sometimes they can't, but sometimes they can. So yeah, and I'll leave you with it's such a beautiful note, and I hate to bring it back to this, but as people are talking a lot about Ryan and all that stuff, and how she's this again helpless victim, it's also important to think of that too in terms of both things can coexist. She can be an instigator and he can also be an instigator, and he can be overpowering to her, and like all of it can coexist. I will caution people to make someone weaker just because. especially again gender wise. We have to be so careful with when it comes to gender and our bias, and either way, like we can't assume he's more powerful over her, towering over her, and she's helpless. We can't assume that it's not the case. Like, again, critical thinking. This is our challenge and our assignment with all of this. Have a wonderful day, night, and whatever. I don't know if we're playing. If you haven't seen It Takes Two, it's this awesome, like, co-screen. Gosh darn, my brain is mush from this stuff, but it's this awesome, excuse me, game, Xbox, PlayStation. Maybe it's on computer too, but yeah, it's awesome. We're I don't know how far into it we are, but we're playing that maybe today or tomorrow. I don't know. And then yeah, probably should go eat actually because I haven't eaten since lunchish, brunchish. So have a wonderful day. Remember to take a break. Remember to like paint, draw your stick figures, share them below. Share what you've done outside of this craziness. If you are really well balanced, good for you. But a lot of us are like, what's new? Refresh, just something new. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Talk about a drug. This is our drug right now. All right. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Peace and compassion and empathy. And yeah, have a great day or night or wherever you are. Bye.